Hey, everybody. I am John Anderson, Director of Media for Nebraska Firearm Owners Association. We are Nebraska's voice when it comes to Second Amendment issues. We've got about 30,000 followers across the state. They all strongly believe in the rights and freedoms protected by the Second Amendment. We invited candidates running for Congress, governor, Nebraska State Legislature, city councils, and county sheriff to participate in our Online Townhall Series, Meet the Candidates. Our format for this event is an online recorded interview. Each recording is unedited. Our members have prepared questions to assess candidates running for elected office. I'd like to introduce Chris Bruns, who is running for Nebraska Legislative District 42. Chris, thanks for sitting down and answering the questions.
Absolutely, John. Thanks for having me on and providing an opportunity to speak to the voters and Second Amendment advocates throughout the state. So,
Absolutely. All right, we'll get rolling here. Our first question is, why did you agree to participate in this online town hall with Nebraska Firearms Owners Association?
our Second Amendment is extremely important to me. As a Marine combat veteran, somebody who's spent about 10 years in the United States Marine Corps, from combat all the way through a numerous variety of experiences from training a generation of Marine Corps officers to seeing higher echelon leadership, working for the chairman of the Joint Chiefs and the Commandant of the Marine Corps. I know what it means to support and defend our Constitution and our Bill of Rights. And I'm of the opinion that the Second Amendment is the linchpin in keeping all of our Bill of Rights ongoing and upheld. And so the opportunity to speak to the voters about my stance on the Second Amendment is extremely important to me. I think it helps define who I am as a candidate. And I know that in West Central Nebraska, there's a lot of gun-loving, Second Amendment-loving individuals that this is an important issue for them. So I look forward to answering the questions here tonight and providing any clarification that I may on my stance on the Second Amendment.
All right. Next, our members wanted to know, what is your favorite firearm and how often do you shoot it?
Oh, goodness, that's a difficult question. It's hard to pick just one. So I'm a Marine Corps mission-oriented combat shooting instructor trainer. At least I was when I was in the Marine Corps. So my service weapon was the M4 carbine, and so it feels really good to have my AR-15 in my hands. Now I go out plinking with the weapons that I use for concealed carry. I have an M&P Shield Easy Series, the 380 Auto. I also carry, it was gifted to me, so it has some sentimental value, but I have a Makarov 9x18 millimeter. So I shoot those fairly regularly. Goodness, I enjoy my Judge 45 Colt revolver. When it comes to rifles, I got a tried and true Golden Boy 30-30. So, it's hard. My family and I, we have a large arsenal and we like to shoot. We don't shoot as much as we would like as of late because of the skyrocketing costs of ammunition and how hard it is to actually get ammo. But it's definitely a pastime. We like to go out and have some recoil therapy, so to speak. So,
All right. Now we'd like to hear, what is the number one purpose of government?
well, the number one purpose of government is to do the things that private sector can't do effectively or efficiently. And I'm a big, capitalist. That's my viewpoint. But there's certain things as far as the protection of the nation, protection of the state, promoting the general well-being of the public, providing infrastructure. Those are the things that government should be focused on, and less on a lot of the things that unfortunately government has gotten involved in recent decades. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm running, is to ensure that government overreach into our daily lives is fought back against, and that our individual rights and liberties and property rights are upheld. So it's an important question, but that's my viewpoint on the purpose of government.
Okay. Our members have several issues of interest, so let's dive in with the next question. What are you going to do to protect Nebraskans from the federal government's attempts to restrict the Second Amendment?
So I'm a county commissioner right now. We were one of the first in the state to implement the Second Amendment sanctuary county here in Lincoln County. Um, those are the types of things that I want to take on a larger scale to the state legislature. Working with Senator Tom Brewer, who's a good friend of mine, a mentor. I enjoy his support and continued endorsement in this race. Getting things done like LB 773, which unfortunately didn't pass, is going to be important this next legislative cycle while I'm in there, and making sure that that gets across the finish line. So those are the types of things that I want to see. I want to see our Second Amendment bolstered, really get back to the roots of what the founding fathers intended it to be, which is allow for the individual citizen to be able to protect themselves against tyranny.
Okay. Now we're going to go a bit further with some specific issues we're addressing in Nebraska lately. What is your position on constitutional carry, and what will you do, or what have you done, in support of that position?
Yeah, so I've actually, again, LB 773, Senator Brewer's bill, I was extremely upset to see that fail. I have mixed feelings on the amendment that Senator Brewer proposed with it, given what it would do for Omaha as far as the continued gun registry. But I also see the benefits that it had as far as getting constitutional carry further down the line, and really neutering what Omaha was doing, using that gun registry as a de facto gun control measure. So I'd like to see, ultimately, yeah, everybody would like to see, in my opinion, at least those that I'm talking to out on the street, constitutional carry as a clean bill get passed. And I'm a huge proponent of that. But we need to do everything we can to further our position when it comes to constitutional carry. And so I look forward to working with Senator Brewer and getting that reintroduced this next legislative cycle, co-signing on to that, and working extremely diligently to get it passed. I was down there for testimony, and absolutely supported locally by encouraging constituents from throughout the state to contact their senators and urge support of it. So my position where I am now, that's the most I could do. But I look forward, once elected, to getting in there and rolling up my sleeves and getting that across the line.
All right. How about your position on red flag laws, and what will you do, or have you done, in support of that position?
So I'm anti-red flag laws. I think that's red flag laws. I mean, they circumvent due process, right? And so we need to be doing everything we can to uphold individual liberties and property rights. And so it's an assault on both your property rights as well as your Second Amendment. And so I think that while I haven't done anything per se right this second or in my past to support legislation in that regard, that's absolutely the type of legislation that I would work toward moving forward, is ensuring that there's nothing like that occurring in the state of Nebraska.
As one of the few states without it, let's discuss your thoughts on state preemption of firearm laws, and what will you do, or have you done, in support of that position?
So I'm a fan of state preemption. I think that prevents a hodgepodge of different municipal ordinances that go too far and infringe upon our Second Amendment rights. So I think that in the case of the Second Amendment, the state should be the final word on that, and we should have a clearly defined law that essentially provides free and fair ownership of firearms to all individuals. And so I'm a fan of that, and that's the type of legislation that I would support moving forward.
All right. Recently, we had an opportunity to address some much-needed protections via LB 300 Castle Doctrine. What are your thoughts on Castle Doctrine, and what will you do, or have you done, in support of that position?
So I'm a proponent of the Castle Doctrine, of stand your ground laws. I think that those are vital for gun owners. I mean, that goes right to the heart of what I think the Second Amendment provides, is the right to protect yourself. So I would absolutely be an advocate for legislation like that, introducing it and working it as a priority type bill to get it across the finish line. I'm a huge proponent of bolstering our Second Amendment rights in that regard.
In our state, we don't have the ability to remain in a place we are legally allowed to be and have a duty to retreat. What are your thoughts on duty to retreat, and what will you do, or what have you done in support of that position?
So again, in my position right now, there's not a lot that I have been able to do. I am not a proponent generally of duty to retreat. I'm a stand your ground type individual. And I think that that's the route that we need to be looking at as far as legislation is concerned. The threat, when it presents itself, evil doesn't back down very easily. And I think that a strong, well-equipped population is probably the best deterrent when it comes to crime. And a criminal knowing that an individual doesn't need to retreat, that they can absolutely stand their ground, that provides a strong deterrent. And I think statistically, we'd see crime rates go down across the state. So that's my viewpoints on that topic.
In general, are there any specific gun laws you think should get repealed?
Well, I think that constitutional carry does, a good job of getting rid of, in my opinion, unneeded, unwarranted fees and certifications for gun ownership to concealed carry. So getting something like LB 773 reintroduced and passed would help alleviate and get rid of, in my opinion, needless, unwarranted type of legislation that does exist. So I'd be a proponent of that.
NFOA believes in education. What is your position on mandating firearm safety classes or programs in K through 12 public schools?
So I think that that's actually an area worth further conversation. I think that we have generations that have purposely been led to be afraid of firearms because they don't have the training and the understanding of the tool, and that's what it is. It's a tool. And I think that if you look back generationally in the history of our country, those were commonplace type tools that were handled by youth throughout our country, and you didn't have the problems in society that you see now. So I would be an advocate for greater education early on in life. I think that would be something that would be a worthwhile endeavor to pursue, or at least have further conversation on. Absolutely. I think that when it comes to education too, the more you get rid of the restrictions statistically, the more you see as far as gun training occurring, and you see gun owners taking more courses. And that was something that I think was greatly lost in the debate with LB 773. You heard a lot of people say that they weren't a fan of the training going away and wanted to mandate that. Well, statistically, you see more gun owners take additional courses on their own. And so that's an element to the conversation that I think needs to be had.
Being a 2A supporter, what is your position on the intent and purpose of the Second Amendment?
Again, I think that the Second Amendment is the linchpin for all the other amendments in the Bill of Rights. I think it strikes at the heart. You don't have to look far these days to see on a case study on full display of why we need the Second Amendment. If you look to Europe and what's going on in Ukraine, the Second Amendment is there to have a citizenry that can protect themselves against tyranny. And it's fine and great to go out and go hunting and use your weapons for recreation. But the heart of the Second Amendment is to protect oneself and the populace against tyranny. And so that's where the focus needs to lie. So that's one of the things that I look forward to advocating for and supporting our Second Amendment in the Nebraska State Legislature.
And lastly, let's move to the Nebraska Constitution. How will Article 1, Section 1, the Statement of Rights of the Nebraska Constitution, impact your decision-making in the role you are pursuing?
Well, I think Article 1, Section 1 of the Nebraska Constitution just reiterates to a large degree, the Second Amendment that shall not be infringed. It gets a little bit more detailed as far as lawful common defense, the defense of self, family, home, and others. Hunting is specifically mentioned in Article 1, Section 1. And while all those are good, again, the heart of what I think it goes toward is being able to protect yourself against tyrannical forces, whether that's an individual looking to commit a crime or something else along those lines. And so it's in line with the Second Amendment. I think that it will be key in how I approach legislation, especially on this topic, and anything that we can do to strengthen that and improve our Second Amendment rights and Article 1, Section 1 of the Nebraska Constitution here in the state of Nebraska. It is a worthwhile endeavor, something that I look forward to undertaking as the next state senator for District 42.
All right. And as I said before, these questions were submitted to us by our members. If anyone who is watching this interview would like to reach out to you and follow up on any of your answers or get any clarification on your answers, how can people reach you, Chris?
Sure. So I'm a huge proponent of being accessible and transparent. So I hand out my cell phone. That number is 308-660-6049. I can also be reached via email at chris@chrisbruns.com, as well as on social media at Vote Bruns. And the title for the page is actually Chris Bruns for Legislature. So very easy to find. If you get, try to get a hold of me and I don't for some reason answer right away, I leave a message, I will absolutely return your call. So I look forward to that meaningful dialogue with the individual voters and the citizenry across the state.
All right. This has been Chris Bruns running for Nebraska Legislature, District 42. Chris, thank you so much for sitting down with us and answering our members' questions.
Absolutely. Thanks again, John, for having me on. And thank you for everybody for tuning in and partaking in your civic duty to learn about the candidates.